Yeah, hi. So till now we have seen some of the theoretical concepts with respect to the RDMS and also the how does RDMS going to be very helpful in terms of the retrieving the data. So let's also more details in terms of the theoretical concepts with respect to whatever we learn. Something called as a data definition language and data manipulation language and transitional control language and data control language. So let's also more detailedly discuss about these different concepts we had. So the data definition language, it's going to be tell us, we can also represent by using the DDL. It's going to be used in terms of the database structure or the schema wise. So the DDL is going to be used the specified additional properties of the data and also the storaging of the structure access method used by the database systems and also the set of the statements we had. So I will tell you DDL in terms of we're going to be get data definition language. We're going to be retrieve any kind of the data. You want to be matched with the schema or the structure of the database. So these kind of the some of the statements, this kind of the defining of the statement while doing your table to create. At the time, it's going to be very helpful to hidden kind of the information with the users or maybe the probably the end clients, and also the data value is going to be stored in the database in a much for fashion or consisting of the some constraints. So what are the different constraints we are going to be encounter in the DDL concept related task? So these are some of the different constraints we are going to be handled out. For example, like integer type. So you have some of the integer with respect to the in int or maybe the float or maybe the double or maybe the long kind of the thing, and also the character types. So if you are working with some categorical values, at the time you eventually get the English language or may not be English language. So some of the cases you have to be unload with associated with each and every attribute. Eventually, what will happen? You have to be represented by using the each and value with a different range and also the subsetting of the range and also classifying between the categorical values and the integers. And also the date time futures, if you have any in the database, then you have to be typecast with respect to the date time only, so that it eventually works out with the date time futures in the tabular data sets. And declaring with any attribute, I would say particular depends on the domain knowledge we require to construct the values according to the take that values. Then referral integrity. So we have seen some of the DTL related concepts and referral integrity concepts with respect to whatever we learn in the normalization. It depends on appears on the one-to-one marry relationships, you can say. So, for example, you can take the department listed of the each course must be one actually exist. So each department consists of the each course. So for that, you probably learn it consists of some of the one-to-many relationship. A department consists of many courses, right? So at the time you're going to be drawn for the one-to-many relationship, you have the one-to-one relationship, many-to-one relationship, many-to-many relationships. So we will also go through that so that we will get some idea how does that going to be very helpful, and how to draw the relationship between the two different tables. How does that going to be very helpful in terms of the Power BI concept also. So for that, we're going to be see some other the different constraints we are going to be together in the DDL concept. We'll also go through the practical hands-on session in this class so that we'll get some idea what are the different concluded with respect to the DDL. So authorization. So the authorization, whenever we may have the some of the differentiate with the among users, you can say I split it with the some 10K users to handle my SQL. So at that time, what will happen? You will get some you can say confused. Whoever are going to be accessed or unauthorized with respect to the other private keys or the public keys with respect to the SQL. So who are going to be avoid such things, or who is going to be encounter, who is going to be identified at the time you're going to be get that unauthorization keys. So at that time, the authorization term may be differentiate. I can say it's going to be mostly common thing for the read access or the, you can say insert access or authorization, update authorization. If suppose my company is going to be give some application to me, what will happen? I will quickly explain you the example. So any company, I can say XYZ company is there. So XYZ company is give me this application to me, or this is some application with regarding the MySQL related. So they have given me this application to do any kind of the support, you can say any kind of the support kind of the thing. For that, I need only the read access. For that, I need only the read access for that. Because I'm not a developer. I'm not a developer at the time to understand the data and try to do any kind of the changes. So we have a database which consists of the large number of tables, large number of the tables. So what I will do, I will take the read access only for this to access this database and retrieve some of the information. That's it. So I don't want to modify anything. I don't want to make changes anything of with regarding the database what we had. So what I will do eventually, some of the cases, the database may be stuck somewhere, or schema mismatch, schema mismatch. So at that time, eventually, I need to look upon in detail in terms of the data to develop other methods. So further, we required read authorization, and further we required insert operation, which I'm going to be insert some of the modifications of the existing data, but it will be insert only the values. Insert means nothing but the value is going to be inserted instead of modifying any results. And we have updated authorize, which allows the modifications but not deletion. Okay, so the basic updation is nothing but just update the values, that's it. If suppose my city is Hyderabad, so I want to update this into Delhi. So at the time I will take the authorization of the update, and I will and keep updating on this, even though even though I won't delete this record. I won't delete this record. It will duplicate, but the location name is unique at the time. So we will also having the concept for a flag for each and every database. Most of the people are following this concept as a flag. Whoever having very variable change or very slowly changing the values with respect to all the other values, it become as a no kind of the thing. Whoever having the very highly very change in the become as a byte. This is active record. This is a not active record. So like that, we are going to be get as a from flag to get active record or not. And eventually what will happen in this scenario, we will also call as SCD type 2, slowly changing dimension, you can say slowly changing dimension, SCD type 2. So we have different types for the slowly changing dimensional type 1, type 2, type 3. So yeah, this is the type 2 nature of the slowly changing the dimension, I would say. So if you go and read about some of the concepts with related to the MySQL, that is very interesting ideas, I can say. Once you learn this concept in the theoretical nature, once you implement it in the practical oriented, that is very easy to get the glance of it. You will learn very brilliantly with compared to the DDLL concepts and DML concepts. So let's also focus more on the assertions. So assertions is the basic condition. Basically, any conditions you have to take consideration that must be always satisfied. So that is a basic definition for the assertions. So domain constant, integrity constants, whatever we learn as special for the assertions. So yeah, so let's go and discuss what are the different commands with related to the DDL concept. Yeah, DDL concept is generally with some of the commands called create a table or create a new objects inside the database. Alter is a very basic command, I can say. Whenever you alter it, it will be alter it. It may not be delete or it may not be drop. Okay, it will be alter it. The structure of the database is going to be altered. That's it. Drop is nothing but deleting the table, deleting the column, deleting the row, whatever you call it as. And renaming is going to be very helpful whenever you want to rename any kind of the objects or any kind of the table name, like that. So we can play around by using these terminologies we just now learned. The commands is going to be variable. These are all the theoretical part, I can say. The commands is going to be helpful whenever you are playing on with the SQL concepts. Yeah, let's go and play around with this. I have given this link with you, online link sqltutorial.org. So this tutorial sorry, this online database we are going to be get and try to run in this website. Yeah. So I'm currently in some sample database, I can say. This is some sample database. Would like to know about the sample database. So yeah, this is some database. They already interpolated with their own cloud. You can say their own going to be database. We just want to be retrieved, but let's try to understand what are the different tables we had in this database. So I will take this diagram and try to explain you what are the different kind of the things we are going to be get it from. Yeah, just a second. Yeah. Yeah. So see here, this is a one table. Every table consists of the different columns, right? So this is a different columns with regarding the table name. This is the table one, and this is the table two. This is the table three, table four, like that. So we had different tables. I would say these are all different tables we had. So what we'll have to do, you have to connect. You have to connect with respect to different tables by giving a relationship. By giving a relationship. By giving a relationship. So how to connect and how to do a relationship? This is also one of the good answers I can say. But we can learn this is a little bit later, little bit later. But as for now, we can play around with one table, play around with one table for DDL concepts. DDL concepts. So let's go and check out that. But as for relations, these are one too many, like kind of the thing with respect to the keys also. So that's more integrity of the learning nature with respect to the other concepts. So I'm not going to the details of that. We can play around with maybe the different table what we had. So let's play around with that so that we'll get some idea how to get the DDL concept and the DML concept we are going to get. Yeah, let's create some sample database so that we'll get some idea. So these are the syntax I can say creating any table. You can see here creating table regions. Suppose you want to create the region table. Okay, so you want to create the region table with regarding this is a syntax create table. Create table. If I take this snippet, I will explain to you maybe. Yeah, you can see here the create table. This is a syntax for creating of any table, and this is the name of the table. Name of the table, and I will give the parenthesis because of my schema and my other columns are going to be represented in that line. So yeah, so the parenthesis is going to be represented as a as per the name of the table is going to be ended. And next thing you can see, next thing the column names are going to be defined. This is a column one, c1 with the typecast or data type with integer 11. So I'm just declaring as a 11 integer character so that it will be allow the 11 up to 11. So you can also see some other column auto increment primary key. So yeah, this is auto increment primary key is going to be very helpful whenever you require to join with the other table. So primary key is very important. This is a P1, you can say primary key. And some other column called region name which consists of varchar. So varchar is a string type basically. So varchar is nothing but a string type, string data type in the SQL, that variable character, that nothing but. So I'm just declaring as a 25th. You can see I'm just declaring as a 25th, so that I will get city name or the region name having the 25th different characters we had. So default is it's going to be null, maybe null. So that's the reason default is maybe null. Some of the cases maybe null. So let's also try to understand the different concepts we are going to be learn with regarding the DDL maybe. So yeah, so you can also see, yeah, you can also see same thing will happen with this, and with the column name, character name, primary key. This is the P1 along with the default values. It is a not null, so it may not be not null. Region ID because of the primary key, right? It may not be not null. So we'll discuss that later. Later, keys are very important in the SQL, I can say. So keys will be more drastically going to be very helpful to get in terms of the joining conditions whenever you wanted to join with other tables. So it will be happen, some of the other classes I will detailedly discuss about these things. So let's jump on to the other command called with respect to whatever we learned in the PPT. Alter, yeah. If you go and see the alter, maybe, yeah, I think it will be, yeah. Just search it, alter. The basic syntax you have to be understood. That's it. If you go and be see any alter command, yeah, you can see this. So the alter command is basically tells about you have to be alter. You don't want to delete anything. You just want to be alter. You have to modify. That's it. So yeah, modify the structure of the table. At the time you will as an alter, it's a statement. The alter table is going to be very helpful. I mean, at the time you want to be change any specific reasons, you want to be change the table name or the table, you can say the table schema for that matter. So we want to be add the new column or the data type with the regarding and also the constraints with respect to the primary key or not, along with the null value or not null values like that. So yeah, eventually this is the syntax alter table. The course, there's some table here. Courses is the table, course ID, course name. So you want to be create or rename or name column the credit hours onto the courses table. So what you have to do, add the credit hours. What is hours is nothing but in integer, right? It may not be not null. So that's how you have to create. So you want to be alter it. At the time you want to be define the numeric in terms of this range max limit it's going to be. So at the time you can alter the fee adding the numeric data type after course name like that. So yeah, you can add this other column integer with after course name. Similarly, the alter modify the columns. You can also modify the columns. You can modify, you can say the table structure, or you can say whoever you want to be specified in terms of the modify. So whether it is a column or the table, whether it is a some specific row, that is also fine. Yeah, alter it, the table name. Okay, you want to be alter the table name with corresponding to that, modify the column definition. So let's go and check out some basic example in this case. So courses is the table, fee is the column. You want to be altered or you want to be modify the numeric is not null. So like that. Similarly, alter table drop of columns. You can drop the columns. Okay, you want to be specified to drop any number of the columns. You can drop those columns by using the drop column is fee. You can drop that according to that. Semicolon, I would say semicolon somewhat mandatory in this SQL. Hope you're going to be get some integrity lessons of the sensitivity with regard to the syntax wise. So the dropping column is very straightforward, I would say. If you take a look on the other command called drop, yeah, let's go and see the drop. How does the drop is going to be very helpful? We have already seen in the alter, but we can go and see the drop function. How does that going to be helpful? Yeah, a drop column or drop table. Yeah, just go for the drop column maybe, so that we'll get some idea. Yeah, the drop column is going to be very helpful whenever you want to drop any column. So you don't want to be allowed that column in your table at the time. You can directly use alter table drop column. This is very straightforward, I would say. This is also very basic syntax to drop. If you want to specify in the list of the column names, you can specify in the list of the column names. Yeah. So dropping of the column is straightforward, I would say. We already learned in the alter. And what is the other command? I would say rename. Yeah, renaming. Let's go and check out the renaming. So if I want any renaming, the specific syntax is very straightforward, I would say. So rename of the column name with specified the renaming of that. Yeah. So yeah, replace all the rename would be some of the same feature. So we already seen, right, the renaming in terms of the create itself. So yeah, replace also will be the same, I would say. So you want to be replaced with corresponding to that, you can replace that. We already seen, I guess, in terms of the create only. Creating the table, when we learn about the creating the table, we already seen the renaming the things. So if you go and see the renaming of the things, that is very straightforward. You want to be rename some of the things, you want to be specified with respect to that. So I want to rename some of the things that may not be helpful at the time of column ID. So you want to be rename, you can directly rename corresponding to that. Basic syntax is like this. So rename old value with the new value. That's it. With a new value. Obviously going to be table, right? From table. from table. So you can specify the mention with regarding the which table and which column. That is basic sense to understand to renaming any column. Even the table also. If you want to be specified the even the table also, that is also very useful. And these are some simple operations in the DDML. So we can also check out with regarding the DML and also the transaction control language with regarding the different concepts we are going to be correlated with to understand what how does the syntax is going to be very helpful with respect to that. So DML is the much more better efficient to retrieve the queries. This is just a beginner level of the SQL, I would say. So if you want to be more integrated with the SQL, I would suggest you go to with nested queries. So I will also introduce the nested queries concept, but not that much deeper while doing with some beginner level of the SQL course. So if you are more familiar with some of the beginner level of the SQL course, I would suggest to go to with advanced SQL called as a nested queries. This is very much helpful to understand more integrated with this. And what will happen? You have to learn some of the syntax in the SQL and try to apply on top of your data sets or top databases. So whenever you apply the databases, you will be retrieve some of the information while doing the querying. While doing the querying, you will get the information and try to understand the data. Understand the data that is correct or not. That is correct or not. You have to validate it. You have to validate properly. You have to validate properly all the columns along with some data types. Some data types. So that you will eventually get some good understanding of database management system, along with you will also get database developer. So yeah, that's what for this class I would say. We can go with the next class by using the DML, data management language, manipulation language. This is going to be very helpful to understand the different queries and commands we are going to be used. Thank you.